but either way, ladies.
Doesn't look like it to me.
Wait, hold on. It's.
Please stand by.
Please stand by.
We are standing by.
We're standing by, Jeremy.
Standing by.
Yes. Yes, Jeremy. Yes, we're standing by. Does it matter that I have the on?
What? Where's our video?
That's what I'm trying to figure out over here. Is it playing, Jeremy, or no?
No. It's still says waiting for you three. There you go.
Are we live? It's live?
Yes.
Alright.
I don't see us.
I don't see us either.
Well, hopefully everyone can see us. Yeah, well, you should be disconnected from that.
Large delay.
Uh-oh.
Hang on.
Oh no. It's not a large delay. It's only a large delay between us and
The YouTube video.
Got it.
Yeah. Not between you and me. So we're good.
Where are we?
I don't know.
But you can see us, right, Jeremy, on the YouTube stream?
Yep. I can see you guys on the YouTube stream.
Okay, well,
let's go.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to you three.
unidentified, undiscovered, and unexplained. And
We are joined today by our fancy, handsome guest, Jeremy. Look at that stud
Olinsky.
muffin right in the middle of your screen.
Look at that handsome
You two.
devil.
You two.
You mean you three?
You three.
Exactly.
He's right there. He's right there.
Touche, my friend, touche.
You
look,
three.
Look at this guy.
That's yeah.
Look at this
This
guy.
guy.
Look at this guy.
Look at this guy.
Look at this. Look at these guys.
Look at these guys.
How are you today, Jeremy?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be back on. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Yes, this is kind of a deja vu for us, isn't it?
Oh,
It
yes.
is. It seems like we've done this before.
It's awfully familiar.
Awfully familiar
Except it's a bit more
territory.
high tech this week, but
Very
it's,
high tech. We've
Yeah.
got picture in picture. We've got links showing. Like
Yeah.
we've got all kinds of fun
We
things.
got
happening.
wires, phones, things everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we open the
Looks
chat as
great.
well for the YouTube in case? For,
Oh yes, let's keep that open. Yes. Yes, we have
we
been
have
live.
been live.
Yes,
we have
yes.
been live.
We
for 2
have been
minutes.
live.
Well,
Yes.
it's entertainment purposes.
It is
isn't it?
for free fucking entertainment. What more do you want?
Shall we get straight? Shall we get stuck
Get straight
into
away. Straight away.
it? Everyone's got a British accent all of a sudden.
In British accent. And ladies and gentlemen, just so you all know, going forward, all the links to everything we'll be discussing in the order that we're going to be discussing are right in the description of the video.
so you can follow along.
You can follow along, and as we're discussing it, I'll also be showing the links on the video themselves. But if you want to view them, just click the links.
Because we'll be dropping some major truth bombs. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
That is correct. Some major truth bombs coming up.
Shall we? Point one. We spoke about this briefly last week
Mm-hmm.
about the weird fireball. Was it in Chile?
In Chile.
Yep, we did. Now, with these links, are they still #1 sighting translation? From
Yes.
That's the
user?
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
they're
cool.
all in order.
That's right, the fireball that crashed. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. So, last time we showed... I shouldn't say last time. We'll just say this time.
This time.
Yeah, this time. So remember, not remember, but basically there's a whole lot of space stuff out there, right?
Yes.
That's what we were saying, right?
Yes.
And I know that out there's actually images. I don't know if Anthony has them to pull up, but I can text them to you if you want.
Do you have them so we can show our viewers?
What ones are they?
So it's
just the first link. I think there was a video.
Do you want me to show
yeah,
that?
there's so much space junk, and there's also a lot of satellites that are just orbiting. Earth's
Oh,
atmosphere.
Yes.
yeah. Well, I mean, should I pull up the image of like space junk or something?
No, just the fireball.
Just the fire. Okay, that one. But we could talk about.
I guess
do
you
want
should
to
show them it first, yeah.
Just so
Before
they
we
know.
talk about what it
Just so
could
they
be.
know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mysterious fireball that crashed and burned was not a satellite.
Right, was not a satellite, or it was not a meteor, is what it says.
Was not a meteor. Got it.
So it was not a meteor.
Mm-hmm.
So because it wasn't a meteor, what the heck was it, right? And they said that they know it wasn't a meteor because they couldn't find any like elements or something like that, like
Should-
anything
we,
that.
Shall we play the video?
Yeah, I'll just turn the
Yeah,
sound
why don't you
off.
play the video?
I'm just turning the sound off, Jeremy, so you can talk. I'm just playing it without the sound.
Oh, no worries.
And please feel free to chip in, like what you may think it is now and.
Yeah.
If the video wants to play,
If it'll play.
it should.
Well, for now, Jeremy, why don't you talk about? Why don't you guys talk about whether there's some speculation it might have been space junk. It might have been leftover like rocket stuff from like China because they don't launch like their stuff over the ocean. It could have been like any number of things.
Yeah, I know that we were discussing before that there's so much space junk out there. There's actually a lot of images of what it looks like. Here's one of them, which I'm showing you right now. It's completely surrounding, almost like another ozone layer of just junk out there.
Yeah, it makes you think, how are we ever going to leave the planet?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like keeping you stuck inside. You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, so this is most likely my opinion of what I think it could be. Is just some of this stuff. You know, once it gets a little bit too close to the atmosphere, Earth's gravitational pull all of a sudden starts to, take effect on whatever the item may be. And as it falls to Earth, of course, as it enters the atmosphere, it's going to burn up because that's what happens.
Makes sense.
And, and obviously because it's space junk, it's not a meteorite, so it's not going to show that it's a meteorite in the testing that they do to distinguish if it is or isn't, and leaves it to be something else. So to me, it's not any evidence of alien. It's just all we can say is it could be, right?
Space junk.
But more than likely, with all this space junk, it's most likely a piece of debris or something floating around out there that got close to the atmosphere and sucked in by our gravitational pull, caught on fire, and landed.
That's an interesting theory. Pappy, what do you think it was?
I think space junk would be, well, if it were indeed space junk, wouldn't some of it have really been incinerated when it came down to Earth? Like
it could have, yeah. Like would it disintegrate or something? I guess it depends on what the space junk is, I guess, right? Like, how is space junk made? What is the material?
It's like satellites and shit. It's like
broken
breaking
satellites,
apart.
or?
Yeah, stuff. It's been in orbit for so long that we've lost like the ability to communicate with it to tell it what to do.
Okay.
So it's like
It's obsolete.
it's obsolete.
Okay, so I'm assuming that stuff is made to get through the atmosphere without burning up. So I'd assume on the way back down it won't burn up either. Right?
Well.
No, when it re-enters the Earth.
Well, also if it re-enters the Earth, it's not being guided by anything, so it could go at like a weird angle that would burn it up. I would think.
Unless it was a UFO.
But why? But most UFOs don't.
It was UFO.
Oh yeah.
It's the only real explanation.
It's true.
Yeah, but I guess I'd have to read the article a little bit more in depth.
Well, no, they don't know. They don't know like what.
They don't know.
That's the thing. So for me, it's unidentified and unexplained.
Yes.
It was an unidentified flying object that hit Earth. So
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
that it is. At one point, that was a UFO.
Well, that is point one covered. Now this one for me is very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna show the video for this, Jeremy, before we talk about it.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, because this one for me was very much unexplained.
Oh, why is it upside down?
Why is it upside down? That's interesting.
No, it's because of this. Fuck. Ladies and
I'll
gentlemen,
watch it again myself.
please bear with us. It is our
Rotate.
first time.
Ah, there we go. You clever so and so. Yeah, this is our first time actually sharing
Like videos.
and links within the video. So
All right, so we're going to show the video.
All of a sudden, bam!
Wow.
What is that? Anybody tell me what that is?
I mean, come on.
We're in the middle of the ocean. On a ferry. Nothing around. Look,
Are you watching this, Jeremy, as well?
nothing around.
Yes, I am. I got it pulled up myself.
Can we go back again? Just show everyone again, because that was just weird.
Look, nothing in the
Yes,
sky
it was.
at all. Then all of a sudden, bam! What is that?
What is that?
Anybody tell me what that is?
Okay, so
Definitely not space
We're
junk.
in the middle of the
Well,
right, definitely not space junk. Go ahead. What do you guys think?
Well, the two things that are interesting from the article was like at the end they talk about how there's a military base there, and this one Marine says, he says, "I'm pretty sure I know what those lights are." Derek Chennault, who is identifying himself as a former Marine based at the 2nd Marine Air Wing in Cherry Point, North Carolina, and he talked about how they do these things where they drop these flares that are on like little parachutes, and they're equivalent to 1 million candle power bright, and so they could look like they're just hanging there. And the thing is, however, a spokesman for the military base confirmed to Fox 10 Phoenix that no aircraft from that base was in that area the day the video was posted. So even though this one guy tried to explain it away, who was like, a former like
a
debunker who used to be at this base, a spokesman for the base itself said
no flares that day.
And
Yeah.
Jeremy, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so the thing that's peculiar about this video...
Before you carry on, Jeremy, can we have that video, but just pause it on those lights so everyone can see and make up their own mind about what this is while Jeremy's giving his verdict, because I think this will be really interesting when they do the close-up. So if you just rewind slightly, just so everyone can see.
So this is something you guys are doing that I can't see right now, right?
That's correct, my friend.
Okay.
there's.
Cool. You let me know when you're ready for my opinion.
Well, you can go.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the thing that's so peculiar about them, the thing is that like it would be easy to say, okay, that's like a whole bunch of things coming directly at you, but they're not. They're stationary, right? They're not sinking. They're not rising. They're just stationary. Now, granted, I don't know how long those things are on screen for. I don't know. I'd like to count and see how long that guy has that video, and I'd really like to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Because my question based upon what these are is, how long did you see those things? How long were they stationary for? Because the only thing I think they could possibly be, if they're not a flare, and it would be a lantern of some, those lanterns people let go up.
Yes.
And so that's the only thing, is that maybe a party boat came by and they let 14 people let up a lantern apiece, and then they started to float. But again, that's only good for a certain amount of time, and they will constantly be rising because of the hot air, and they will be going up, These look stationary to me. However, over distance, of course, things that are traveling seem to go slower, right? Because airplanes look like they're going super slow, but they're going like hundreds of miles an hour because they're far away. Is the same thing happening here? Are they stationary? And unfortunately, we won't have the answers unless we ask that person, how long were these things sitting there stationary? If those things are stationary, I have no clue what those could possibly be.
Maybe we can get him on the show.
Yeah, that'd be really, really...
That'd be interesting. We actually have a question which you two can participate in, Jeremy. The question is from one of our viewers, Omar Kanawi. He is asking, did the aliens create aviation long before the Wright brothers?
Oh, man. Well...
Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go on.
I'm a firm believer that time is not something that really exists. I think that our time is only relative to us. So when you're talking about before, there really is no before. It really depends on where you are in the universe. So yes and no is the correct answer, but I would say yes. I would say yes. They did create something before us because, well, stuff that we're going to get into in the future that we will be talking about shortly.
Yes.
What I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
I've been actually studying up on the Bob Lazar and stuff, and I did
It's
watch.
interesting, isn't it?
It's very, very interesting. It's very, and it just seems like it. It seems like they've definitely self-propelled. What do they call it? What is it? There's no, usually when you're flying, something shoots out the back and you go forward. But when things are existing, propulsion. Yeah.
You take the air, you take it in one way and propel it out the other way.
And propel it out the other way.
Forward.
Yeah, what Bob Lazar was talking about was something that manipulates gravity.
Right. Like, it's like how the same thing that. Well, we'll wait till we get to.
We got some good stuff this week. We got some good stuff.
Yeah. So to answer the question, that would be my simple but not simple answer is yes. they did, but time is relative. So.
Pappy? Did aliens create aviation before the Wright brothers?
If in aviation you mean like the ability to travel like in 3 dimensions, not just like 2, like
I would just say flight. Yeah, flight.
Flight. No, I would say most likely, yeah, because I can't imagine
been flying for 100 years.
Well, no, I can't imagine that aliens have been only flying as long as humans have. It just doesn't make sense.
It's true.
So, like, yeah, I think as far as how we interpret time, yes, they did before. As far as we interpret time,
how we interpret time.
Yeah, based on. Yeah.
Well, we only interpret because we feel the effects of it, aging, everything, like.
Yeah. Aging is a direct result of gravity, the amount of time that gravity's been pulling down on our bodies. That's why boobs sag, skin wrinkles, why it's created. And so that's really the only reason why we age is because of of gravity, gravitational pull on Earth. So I feel like
But it's also what keeps us alive because when you go into outer space, you can't be there too long because sooner or later your heart would just stop. Because doesn't have like your heart is just used to that.
Yeah, it's like there was a movie out there about a guy that was from Mars and his lungs weren't working on Earth or something like that.
I saw that movie.
Not the Day the Earth Stood Still, is it?
No.
I don't remember.
It's like this young guy, right? This young guy who's...
It's like a love story. He falls in love with a girl on Earth through communication, and
I've seen
sacrifices. Yeah, he sacrifices himself, decides to go to Earth to meet her and be with her and live his life, even though it's going to be dramatically shortened because his lungs they're not strong enough. Why did that come up? I forgot.
We had a question on YouTube in our chat. That was a good question. I was not expecting that question. So that was a curveball.
It was a curveball.
Definitely a curveball. Well, I will put it to the viewers with those North Carolina lights. Jeremy says could be Japanese lanterns.
That's all I got.
Perhaps.
That's a tough one.
Would you say it's unexplained?
It's unexplained, unidentified, undiscovered.
The third one?
Undiscovered.
No, as far as the links, we're still number 2.
We're still talking about those.
Okay.
The one.
Yeah. Really, man, if you guys could reach out to this man, and because that's what it comes down to for me, is the number one question is just, how long were these things in the air for, and were they moving whatsoever? Did they come down to the horizon and land in the ocean at some point, or did they stay there? Did they shoot up? What happened? Where did they go? Or did you go home before they moved? Did your boat go to shore and they're still out there?
Well, what I'll tell you, Jeremy, as far as like reaching out to this guy, what I want to do for future episodes is live tweet them. Are we on Instagram or no?
Live?
Yeah.
No.
What I want to do with future episodes is live tweet them as well as YouTube them, and if we could find out this guy's Instagram handle, if he has one, we could say like @so-and-so, and then like be showing
the aliens.
But we could just be showing.
That'd be really cool. Yeah. That'd be a really cool idea. For sure.
I think that would be how we could get some answers to like all these different sightings and stuff, is like adding the people so that like they could talk directly, and whether or not they're full of bullshit will remain to be seen, but at least that type of question could be answered.
Absolutely. And there's like so many questions. The main question is really, do these things even exist? Rather than, and of course, UFOs exist by just default, right? Like what is called unidentified. Anything can be unidentified, even if it's an airplane and you don't know if it is yet. That's still currently an unidentified flying object. It's when it becomes an alien. That's where is this an alien or is this just us? I tend to believe that it's both. There's other living civilizations probably out there, but I think that there are places in this universe where ourselves in the future are interacting with us.
That's always been like what I say. Like I always feel like the UFOs are us traveling back in time in like the future form of like
That's
humans.
what I said.
Oh, that's what I remember.
Yeah,
that's what I buy.
Well, according to some scientists, if you were to travel back in time, you'll never go back to your universe. You'll go back to a parallel universe, but it could be other universe people traveling back and indirectly going into ours. So,
well, I also
other variations of us. Yeah.
Have you heard of like the theory? Not theory, but like the concept that if you invented time travel, you could never go to before that moment when you discovered time travel. Like from that moment
That's interesting,
you discovered time travel.
That's interesting.
You could not go further back than that moment. You go any place after that, but not before
right.
that.
Then you kind of got a paradox, right? It's like, well, what moment in time is that? Right? Like what that one point, you can never go back before that because it wasn't invented.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Unless they did invent it and we are like in that reality that they invented, like
it's like giving an AK-47 to a chimpanzee. Would you trust us with time travel if you were more intelligent than us? I wouldn't.
It's like,
well, the thing is, like, yeah, because every different person would have an idea of what they'd want to do.
It's true. We actually have another question.
Oh, what is it?
We are very popular tonight.
Nice.
It's from Omar again.
And don't all write in at once, kids.
Omar is asking us, do aliens live among us? I guess that's part one. And part two, well, I guess it's his take on it. Perhaps the angels and jinn, which is like spirits, kind of like, spirits. Well, we'll say spirits, jinn, of religious texts could actually be extraterrestrial beings. So angels and spirits, demons, every culture calls them something. Could they actually be extraterrestrials trying to contact us? Maybe ghosts?
Wow. Yeah, so
that's
I personally think
that's
that
an episode all by itself, I think.
Yeah, it really is. I'm one to believe that if ghosts exist, if spirits exist, and it's not religious, if you will, right? Not in a religious. I think if we're basing it just scientifically.
Yeah, just science.
The way I look at it for science is it's most likely what we were just talking about, other versions of ourselves interacting through universes. Like, have you guys seen the movie Interstellar, where this girl refers to her ghost?
I've never seen that film.
I think it's required viewing for everyone.
Not as much as Wolf of Wall Street, though.
Okay, so when this woman, without spoilers here, a woman refers to a ghost. Okay, like there's a ghost happening when she's a young girl.
Yes,
I won't tell you who that is or why.
Yeah.
But the ghost ends up being someone in the future interacting with her directly. Now, I think that could be happening indirectly. We don't mean to do this. We don't mean to interact.
Right.
With something, but who knows? Old houses, right? People say old houses are haunted. That's because there's years in history of old events and people doing things and moving things in that exact house. Ages ago.
Yeah.
So what if when you're living there in the future now, because moments in time are etched there forever. I tend to believe that each moment, if you can divide that up, which is impossible, you can divide it up infinite amount of times, just like you can on a ruler, is a constant loop. Every moment is a constant loop that's etched and eternally expanding. So I feel like because that's the case, that means that when an old lady is, sewing in the living room, that's now the new girl's bedroom 20 years later, that moment could be interfering with time, because time doesn't exist, right? It's just it's living a linear life.
Sounds a bit like the butterfly effect.
It does seem like the butterfly effect. I don't know why there's these disturbances between moments in time in a shared space, right? Space will always be there. The matter will always be there. The time is what's changed. I think these moments can interact. How? I have no clue. But that could be what it is. It could be the old person that used to live here, the moment when she was like, I don't know, doing whatever she was doing, for whatever reason, that moment decided to create a wave in some sort, and because, like I said, interfere with our time. The times could have like a little
makes sense.
Glitch.
A little glitch.
There's
Who
a glitch.
knows? It could be glitches.
There's a glitch in the
Matrix.
Could be glitch in the Matrix. It's an idea. So idea.
What's your
I've
take?
always been told from like the more religious sort that like when you hear stories about people seeing ghosts, people seeing angels, they're actually of a malevolent nature, because in theory they don't exist in this world. They exist in another world. They can interfere in this world, but you should never know that they're there.
So could they be aliens?
As far as like the aliens, like thing is, unless it were to act upon you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, because I think when people interpret like angels and devils and demons, they view it as like something that acts upon you positively or negatively. Whereas like the aliens, except for probing people's anuses, typically.
That's next week's episode.
Yes.
Abductions.
We'll be doing demonstrations.
Spoiler alert.
People say that an alien, if you look at the alien with large heads, large eyes, that tends to be what they imagine that humans will be in the future, just based on our evolution and how things are going to happen. We're going to lose our hair.
Yeah.
You know, our eyes are going to get bigger and our heads are going to get bigger for bigger brains to be smarter. All that stuff. One race, one color, because it all mixes together eventually. So it is peculiar that maybe aliens are just us in the future as well. That have figured out. You know?
I've said that for a long time. I said they've just, they are us maybe like a million years in the future. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe it's just us that have it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, they've figured out a way, if they are coming here, they figured out a way to come back and interact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe they're just studying
that's
history.
The main thing. People think they're like, they're observing.
That's what an intelligent life form would probably do.
Is observe. Like, why would it interfere? Or why? But then again, like, why would it make itself known enough that it's like there's obviously something in existence, but not known enough that it's like we have no way to contact it?
Maybe it was part of the building. Maybe it was part of it. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was necessary to get to where they got to. To have this one, you got to have curiosity in order to innovate, right? That's the only reason why we do things. We just want to make things better. That's the reason we want to have sex and make more kids. Just naturally, there's a natural. That's all we're made for, is innovating and making things better. So the curiosity is fundamental to continuing to grow. So having that suspicion up there in the sky, what the hell is that? Well, let's find out. How do we find out? We make things that propel us, rockets that go up in outer space. That drive is fundamental on wondering. And so I think that it's fundamental they make themselves known so that it piques our curiosity to get to that point. We don't get there to be them unless we wonder what they are. And that answer just may very well be that they are us.
In the future.
In the future, yeah.
That sounds like wizardry.
All of it is, right?
Oh, yes.
Jeremy is a wizard and he had no idea.
Oh, I'm not a wizard. but yeah, it just all makes sense to me, you know? Like,
well, it makes sense to me too. You have a wonderful way with words, and it very few things make sense to me, but that definitely made sense to me.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Glad I could explain. Those are my thoughts about it.
We'll get on to our third sighting of the day.
Yes.
Should we pull up the link, Pappy?
I already got it.
Look at this man. This man is, speaking of wizards,
this thing is cool.
I've got one next to me. Yeah, now this one was really strange. Don't you think, Jeremy? This one especially was...
Yes, I do. This one is so cool because, for those of you that don't know, I'm a social media person, and I'm going to let them show you first before I talk about it, but all I'll say right now before they show you is that as a social media person that has to edit videos and make cool effects happen and stuff, and as an artist who has to do Photoshop as well, which they kind of go hand in hand when you're trying to fake something that make it look real, right? We get a lot of that in the UFO community.
Yeah.
So as someone that does that for a living, I draw and create things that are supposed to look real, you know, or sometimes that goes into video. I know what it looks like when something is fake, and I know what, you know, and this does not look faked to me. I'm not going to say I'm the most trained eye in the world. I'm not, you know. If someone said, "Oh, it was fake," I'd say, "Oh, okay, how'd they do it?" You know, I'd be really interested.
No, but you like you said, you have searching. You have experience with video editing. You can.
Yeah.
I mean, even you were quite surprised by this video, as were.
I tried to. What I try to do when I see something like this is, how would I do it? Because I know the ways that people do it. And the tracking involved in this would be intense, because tracking relies on the difference between like colors and hues and brightness and contrast. It has to see there's brightness and contrast right here. So if I put a tracker right here, it sees the difference in my circle in my hand. It sees and it'll be able to track based on where that line goes. This is blackness. There's nothing to track.
So
all there is a little bit of grain, so maybe they tracked the grain.
Before we play the video, in your expert opinion, as a video editor, social media person, you know your tech when it comes to video.
Yeah.
Do you think this video is fake?
It doesn't look like it. It just doesn't. That's all I can say. Obviously, I can't say yes or no. If it's faked, that person was really good.
Okay.
They're just really good at what they do, and like they should go into the industry. Like, if it is, But obviously, I can't say.
But from your humble yet accurate opinion, you don't think it's a fake?
No. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me is and I want your guys' opinion too. It seems to me that he's using a specific camera, like to zoom in. It looks like it zooms in a little bit more. Phone can zoom in and still maintains a pretty good amount of quality. I could be wrong because I just haven't tested my iPhone out there like that and something in the dark. Maybe it is that good.
Shall we play the video?
Yeah, please play it. Show them what we're talking about.
Let's do it.
I am gonna make it pretty big though. This will be hard to. Oops.
Ooh, we're moving. The spaceship is moving. All right, we're just gonna make this nice and big so everyone can see.
Cool.
UFO over New York City, 9 p.m. And this was end of September, if I'm not mistaken. September 25th. Yep, September 25th. This video was taken.
How you doing, everyone? As everyone to see, I'm filming New York City. I got something over the sky. It's over here somewhere. Right there. You see that little blinking red light over New York City? Okay. I believe in UFOs, but I think I just got one right now. I'm not really sure if it is, if it's not, but let's see.
Yeah, see, that's when I got like the zoom is pretty intense.
And then it's shaking, and it actually does go red at some point. We'll stop it when it goes red.
And this is not a star either.
What's that black line as well? It's very strange.
That's the same thing that they saw in the Cassini craft near Saturn.
It just looks Saturn to me. Like
Until
it looks
starts
like
going
it's
red.
It changed to
Now what's around Saturn again? That's a bunch of ice chunks, right? Or something like that? Or am I wrong?
I think you're right. Yes, I think it's like meteor, space rocks. It's just like it's made up the ring. Did you see
More
George
orbiting.
Very strange.
Antes andaba encima de la ciudad.
Doesn't look like a star to me. Doesn't look like the moon to me.
No.
Oh yeah.
And it's blinking red. Look at that red. Look at that.
Yeah, mira, está cambiando en rojo.
It's amazing.
Oh my god. Se va a desaparecer la mierda.
My Spanish is a bit rusty. He's saying something
Something
like
red.
Yeah, something red.
Puede ser.
Should we stop?
Yeah, we could stop it. I just wanted everyone to see like it actually changed
What
color.
we're looking at. Yeah, it does change color, which is super cool.
So that takes out the moon, Venus, stars, whatever.
An idea that I had that I had mentioned previously was if this is because a planet, it's not a planet, right? But it looks like it should. It looks like a planet. It looks just like Saturn. What I was saying before is if it is a UFO spacecraft, maybe they're disguising themselves as something that we see in the sky.
Right.
now
So it's still not be obvious.
Yeah, now I said like maybe they come down in airplanes and stuff, or maybe they disguise themselves as airplanes and they're just roaming around. If I was an alien, I would disguise myself as an airplane.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the easiest way to observe. Is just blend in. But of course, I doubt that happens because there are real airplanes up there that have real radar, which we're getting into in the things have been caught by radar. Spoiler alert, which we'll be talking about.
Oh yes.
Soon. But and it's not to say that an alien can't make it look like an airplane from the bottom and also something that's non-detectable. They could probably do that. We're talking about aliens here, so I'm sure they could be non-detectable on a radar. But that's what I would do. You see airplanes in the sky all the time. It's going to be written off as an airplane. You know what I mean? And that's what I would do. So why wouldn't they do the same? Why would they not do the same to us? What do they see in the sky? You got planets, stars. That's it, right? You see stars and planets. Airplanes, of course, But so they think, well, okay, let's look like this thing. This looks like something. Now, that's stretching it in my opinion, because why Saturn? Like, and if they're so smart, don't they know that we would think that's not a planet? You know what I mean? Like, they can't be that close. So you want to give them the benefit of the doubt that if they're that smart, that they wouldn't think that we'd fall for that, basically.
I mean,
because we don't.
I like what you're saying, because you are essentially describing a high-tech form of camouflage, and
yes,
we have camouflage. It's very basic, but when we are fighting wars, we have camouflage. We have snow camouflage. We have jungle camouflage. We have sand camouflage, because we want to blend in with our surroundings to not be seen by the enemy.
Yes, 100%. And also infiltration, right? You pretend to be something.
Yes.
To get as close as you can. People sneak into other events pretending to be something. I'm a security guard. Let me whatever it may be. You want to pretend to blend in. If you blend in, you can find out as much as you want.
Oh yeah. Their camouflage is just beyond our
comprehension.
Beyond our comprehension.
It's almost like a poor attempt at camouflaging. You know what I mean? It's over dramatic. Like, let's go to Earth and hope nobody sees us. Let's turn into this thing they call Saturn. It's like, okay, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Well, maybe it's because to them they see Saturn and they see Earth and they're like, oh, they can obviously see Saturn because their eyes are just so developed that they could see Saturn like very well. So they're like, oh yeah, let's just make it look like Saturn.
Right. There's probably just if this is what it is, obviously this is assuming that's what's going on, right? If that's what it is, they just missed they're just missing a little bit, which is just being on Earth as a human that knows that we can't see Saturn right now without a telescope. We know that we can only see the moon at night and a bunch of stars, and that planets usually aren't visible. Like sometimes you can see Mars and stuff, I guess, as a bright star. But
it's true.
That's what they're missing, is the human experience and the things that we do know. But if they're outside looking in, which it seems like they are, they're up there looking down. It's plausible that they would think, hey, what can they see? Well, they know about the planets. Maybe let's pretend to be a planet and we'll be good. But they just miss the fact that they don't have the human experience of us knowing that, hey, it doesn't work that way. Well, we can't just see Saturn like that.
It's funny you should bring that up, because our resident expert, Christopher, who is actually an ex-employee at Area 52. So guys in the chats, you should have a little word with Chris.
So cool.
Area 52 ex-employee. I mean, that for me is just like...
Can't get more legit.
You can't get more legit than that. Like Joe Rogan may have Bob Lazar, but we have someone who's actually worked at Area 52. So, Chris says infrared cameras would pick up a different shape.
Oh, infrared cameras would pick up a different shape.
I didn't think about that.
I mean, but this guy didn't have a different infrared.
That's the thing. This guy was we're assuming working with a standard phone and zooming in as far as that phone could possibly, zoom in, and he was shaking, like the camera was shaking and everything. So that's very interesting. Infrared. We should reach out to this guy as well and ask him how long was the thing in the sky for, who else saw it.
Well, he has on the YouTube channel. I've been to it. There's only like 14 views on it.
Interesting.
But how interesting is that it was posted on
September 25th.
But I don't know. It was posted on a pretty major site, and then
We also have a question from Susan Kanawi. Thank you, Susan. What are your opinions on the moon landing, real or fake? Let's just go real or fake. One word answers. Go. Pappy.
Both.
Real or fake, both?
Because that's actually my answer too.
Yeah, Jeremy and I have the same opinion on this.
All right, fill me in.
You want to start, Pap?
Basically, I think we went, but there was not. We had to film some footage in case, for whatever reason, whatever happened didn't work. And that's why some of it just doesn't make as much sense, or it's like, well, how could they have filmed that? Like, certain shots make sense. Okay, we had the camera that come out of the ladder, so that's fine. But, like, there were just certain shots that it was like, well, how'd we get that? Or it was also just to, just in case anything went, wrong, like, as far as the recording. But in a sense that I feel like...
Have we actually landed on the moon?
I think so, yes.
Jeremy, have we actually landed on the moon?
Yes. Yes, I will say that there is, and everything is debatable. Okay, we could sit here and debate, and there's people that are listening that are 100% disagreeing with everything we're saying.
It's true.
Here's what it boils down to for me, and other people will debate this. No, it doesn't boil down to that. There's significant evidence that we have gone to the moon, and that the first time that they said we went, we went. There is also significant evidence that proves that things have been faked, to the point where both of those things can be true. You understand? And I believe that we can only go based off our evidence. We have evidence we went, so we went. We have evidence, real good evidence, that shit was faked. It was faked. I don't think it necessarily means because we faked it, we didn't go.
Yeah.
I think both can exist. And I think that we just polarize ourselves. We didn't go. We went. How about the fact that maybe we went, but couldn't get good video? We could bring back the space rocks, which they have and stuff. We can bring back all of this stuff, and you know what I mean? But you know what? We didn't get the good photos. Someone, who knows what the reason is. Someone messed up and, deleted all the footage. Oh shit, we got to prove we went. We want to be the first before the Russians do it, or whatever it may be.
Sure.
Shit, what do we do? Fake it. We went. Who cares? We got the moon rocks. They got the proof they faked shit. They got images of the test that's literally flipped, and they removed all the strings and stuff in Photoshop and said this is from the moon. It's not. It's not. But the rocks that were proven to be from the moon that have asteroids within asteroids within asteroids within asteroids and comet or not asteroids. What do you call it? Craters. Yeah. Craters within craters within craters within craters down to the microscopic millimeter of a crater on a rock that came from the very first one.
Interesting.
So we have enough proof, and they say, there's wind, right? People don't know that the flag on the moon is made of tinfoil.
Yeah. So
it looks like it's waving in the wind. That's by design, to look like it's waving, because there's no wind up there. It would be very boring to see
just a droopy
pole
flag.
with a flat USA red stripe.
It's
okay,
true.
So we want to make it look like it's blowing in the wind. So we made it foil, guys. Those of you that don't know. And the shadows and stuff. There you go. That could be faked too. There's two different, but you have a sun, and Earth also radiates a little bit of light from the bounce, I believe. So I think it's possible you could have two shadows going. Don't quote me on that. I really don't know. But there is significant reason things were faked. Bottom line,
both,
they were.
Like you said, both real and fake.
Both
so,
real, fake.
Suze, I hope that answers your question. I think there's a lot more going on the moon than we are led to believe.
Well, that's the other thought. Is like,
but that's for next week.
That's for another one. Yeah, I think that's
now.
One in itself.
Now things are gonna get juicy. Now.
Gonna get juicy and very turned on.
Things are getting juicy.
Oh yes, delicious.
So there was this Navy pilot.
Let's just show the straight up video.
I shan't say more. I'll just say Navy pilot for credibility purposes.
And this is from a little independent news site called CNN.
Yeah, just a small news network.
All right, hold on, Jeremy. I'm gonna play this video.
Still can't explain what he says he saw that day. November 2004, the Navy fighter pilot was on a training mission west of San Diego when he was ordered to check out something in the water not far away. On a clear day, over a smooth ocean, he saw the object, waves breaking over it, and says he saw something hovering above it.
It's randomly moving north, south, east, west, just random, just stopping, going the other direction, like you could do with a helicopter, but a little bit more abrupt. It looks like a 40-foot-long tic-tac with no wings.
Fravor says he and his four-man team tracked the object for several minutes until it just disappeared.
Jesus.
Tonight, CNN has learned the Pentagon had a secretive program to research UFOs like the one Fravor spotted. The project was called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, run by an official named Luis Elizondo.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control.
A defense official tells CNN the program cost at least $22 million over 5 years before it was shut down in 2012. According to the New York Times and Politico, which first reported this story, tens of millions of dollars for the project were pushed through by former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Those publications say a lot of the money for the Pentagon UFO program went to a company called Bigelow Aerospace, run by a longtime friend of Reid's, Robert Bigelow, a big believer in UFOs.
Doesn't it
Public
blow
records
you
show
away
Bigelow contributed about
how many people don't give a
$20,000
shit
to
about it?
Reed and his political action committee.
That campaign contributor.
I mean, this is some of
got
the
research
most
contracts
groundbreaking
from
stuff.
this program.
And
That
fucking
Talking about the
CNN.
technology that could
It
change
doesn't look good for
humanity.
anybody. There's-
Yeah,
it's
literally.
hard to imagine that's something
shall we pause it there? I mean, that the first minute of that video is just, I mean, come on. This is taken from the cockpit of a fighter plane of the US Navy by a commander. He's the commander of his fleet, and he's showing us this video. Did you see the way that thing moved?
It's like it just
Yeah.
darts.
You know, they were talking about that on Joe Rogan, and I'm just like,
Yeah. It's like the way a laser works on a wall, right? It's not like you're talking about, because they were saying the fastest airplane couldn't move that fast.
nope.
Well,
The
also,
fastest
like,
airplane that exists can't move that fast.
I remember on Joe Rogan he talked about more in depth every single thing that happened, and he said at one point it did a 180-degree turn, like it was like this, and then dipped down and did 180, but it did it instantly, like, and like apparently
Yeah.
Like no
deceleration, because like if you were to be a human being in that, you would basically like
be a pancake.
yeah, because
Almost.
like you could not
You'd be mashed potatoes.
yeah, because it was just instant. So,
potatoes.
mashed potatoes.
Absolutely incredible. And they even said that, well, not only was there one of these things, they said there was like 14 other things that were all in like a formation, like a V formation, like birds fly. And that was on the radar. So, and I guess you could hear them say, look at all of them. Look at all of them. And you're like, what? Where's all of them? I only see one.
Yeah.
And he said that because what you don't see is that there's another screen, you
That's
know?
right, yeah.
And on the other screen, there's tons more. And he said that they would just come down from Earth's atmosphere. You could see the curvature of the Earth that high. That's how high they can, I guess, sense like the planes or whatever.
So the Earth isn't flat?
No, it's not. And they just drop down and hang out for 3 hours, they said. And by the way, they're hanging out for 3 hours stationary, okay? That's not the way that planes work. Planes have to continue to move in order to fly.
That's right, yeah.
They have, now helicopters can do that, right? Because they got the spinny thing, and you know how that works. Anyway, planes don't work that way. You know, this thing's traveling fast, way faster than any plane can travel, and it's hanging out for 3 hours. Not only is it hanging out stationary, a plane wouldn't have enough fuel to do that, they said. Now, that blows my mind. I'd imagine that the planes would have enough fuel to be up there for 3 hours, but maybe fighter jets, Hornets don't. Maybe Hornets,
Well, not to be
because they're going so fast.
not to just idle there either. That
Just to sit there without any, like, there was no jet fuel coming out, no. It was
Yeah.
just like this tic-tac shape. Obviously, the shape is strange in itself. No wings.
No plume. Yeah.
No nothing.
It looked like it had a shape to me. It looked like it was almost like a curved out, like it was like two kind of lines and like a curve out.
The tic-tac or the infrared gimbal?
The gimbal.
The gimbal was a video from 2015, so it's not the same UFO.
The gimbal almost looks like it's the very stereotypical saucer,
Flying
the flying
saucer,
saucer
yeah,
shape
that's
with the
right,
little, which is what Lazar said that he stepped foot into, right? He said he actually stepped foot inside of one of them, and you couldn't stand. He's like 6 foot or something. You couldn't stand up until you got to the very middle of it.
Right.
And he said that, and this is we're going off topic to the other one, but it seems like this flying saucer is the one that he was talking about. He said it was put together as if, there's no but I can't talk, bolts and nuts and
That's
screws.
right.
It just kind of assembled.
Yeah.
It was assembled. He said almost like they dipped it in wax, but nowadays you got these things called 3D printers, right? That build things in layers. It seems like that's the technology that they may have used. Or I'm sure there's a technology even above 3D printing, but this is the closest that we can comprehend given our world. You know, what we live in and use every day. But this thing must have been 3D printed because it's not assembled with bolts and nuts. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So in the gimbal video, it seems like that's what the craft looks like to me. When they describe it, a typical flying saucer that turns up on its side and then takes off, you know.
Well, Omar Kanawi has made a contribution to the chat. He says, it sounds like you're talking about a World War II Foo fighter making evasive maneuvers at incredible speeds and seemingly expending no energy to be doing so. Or do you think this could be military? Who wants to go first?
I've never heard of a Foo Fighter, but I mean,
I've heard of the band.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any of that stuff. But I'll tell you what, if it's our government doing it, we're way beyond anybody else, and very, very, happy and hopeful that is our. I hope that's our government. Mm-hmm. I hope that's one of us doing that. And I kind of do and I kind of don't. I hope it isn't, because if it is, they're hiding it from us, and that's pretty crappy. But, some people have different opinions on that. Maybe they say there's a reason they're hiding it from us, right? Like I said before, we can't get along as it is. If we got this stuff from aliens, if we got this technology from aliens,
I think I don't think it was a World War II Foo Fighter, unless what Omar is referring to was unidentified in World War II, and that does correspond with the 1940s, Roswell crash. It all kind of sinks in together. I think if the World War II Foo Fighter was not identified as a terrestrial craft, then and if it was making similar movements, then it can only be something. Especially in that time, 70 years ago, definitely not local boys. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Foo Fighter right now just to kind of see. I can see how it looks like it could be.
It could. Well, I mean, he says Foo Fighters are extraterrestrial if news reports at the time are to be believed.
Well, I mean, I think that's what he means. That's what they thought they were?
They thought they were UFOs, like alien craft. That's interesting.
Wow, interesting.
Okay.
Chris, our Area 52 expert, says we have real camouflage that makes us invisible.
I've seen that. It takes the light rays and directs it around.
That's exactly what he said, yeah. So we are just, I don't know, are we just catching up? Are we just scratching the surface? Pappy, what do you think?
Well, I think it kind of leads into the final point a bit, just because what if part of it is like it is some of it, whether it's extraterrestrial or not, is more just advanced weapons testing, but it's like such a secret level that like the general Navy wouldn't know about it, the general military, the general elected officials.
That's the thing. Like my thing, and Jeremy, you can chip in on this as well. Why were these two videos declassified
at the same time?
Why these?
Well, why were they released to the public at all? And why did
Kayla had a good
admit to it?
I asked that question to Kayla. She had a good explanation, which I thought was peculiar, and it was meant as a joke, but we got to take these things seriously when we're talking about stuff on this level.
Sure.
I said, why these two? She said, oh, it's just to hide the crazier shit that's going on right now. And I was like,
yep.
Whoa.
What's the
like, what do you
that?
mean? She's like, to get you guys on a podcast talking about this, while the other shit that could be released that isn't released that's going on right now, they feel safe. They'll say, yeah, throw these two videos out and let them talk about that while we do this. So we don't want them talking about this right now.
Red herring.
So a little sleight of hand, as the magicians say.
Looking over here while we're doing.
Well, when it was disclosed. Now I know that there was a lot of UFO stuff disclosed in the previous 2016 election. I know WikiLeaks released some stuff, and I know there was some UFO talk in there. This did not stem from that, right? This was disclosed just as was the White House just like, hey, we're going to disclose a few things. Here you go. Why did this come out?
Obama administration, where the first one came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it 2015?
2015 was Gimbal, so that is during Obama's time, and then the 2012 one was the Commander Fravor. Susan says, pistachios and gripping alien chat, best date ever. Well, I'll take that as a grand compliment, as should you, Jeremy, as should you.
Yeah.
And Omar says, do aliens smoke weed, or do they just live in a natural high? I'm gonna hope
that's a $1 million question.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get high with the aliens to determine that one.
Who's we?
I think that depends on
Sober October.
That's true.
What moment in time and whoever's timeline the aliens are from.
Hopefully, a timeline where there's marijuana.
But what if their brain is like part THC?
Now you're just hang on. I'm gonna write this stuff down. Marijuana and THC brains. Is that what you want to discuss?
THC brains.
THC brains.
By the way, question for you guys that could be very relevant to your future discussions.
Ooh.
Do you guys know how and where other universes exist, and why what considers another universe its own and not ours?
Isn't it like for every action there's an infinite number of ways it's happened in potentially other universes?
Oh, that's parallel universes, yeah.
I thought.
But I'm talking about individual universes that are not.
I thought the universe is.
It's everything we observe.
It's the whole thing. And then galaxies are within the
star systems,
the universe,
and then solar systems.
So the universe is
it's the observable world.
It's what's the artist term?
It's the canvas.
The universe is the canvas, and the galaxies are just
paintings.
Just paintings on.
Paintings on the same canvas.
Paintings on the same canvas.
Yes, but that's one universe.
How'd you like them apples?
There are there's many canvases. Where do they exist in space? Because I have a way to show you where they exist. I have a way to explain it, and you can have a visual image of how that works. And I think once you grasp this in your head, you'll be able to look at everything else a lot differently in the UFO talking. All right. I think once you guys are able to visualize it, it'll help. So,
I'm all ears.
Okay, so this is kind of it blew my mind when I heard this years ago. They say nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, right?
As far as we know, with our 10% brain usage, I mean, 10% brain usage isn't that much, so...
Right, yeah, no, that's true.
Well, I don't know. And the
according to what we know on our timeline currently, to this point, the only thing traveling faster than the speed of... there's nothing traveling faster than the speed of light, but there is, and it's called space. Space travels faster than the speed of light, because we know that it's expanding constantly, right? Okay. So there is a point where light is also expanding with space. Now there is a part of space that is expanding faster than the speed of light, to the point where it's traveling so fast its light will never ever reach us, because it's faster than the speed of light itself. That light will never get to us. In that space are galaxies and planets and stars and suns and moons, all in this space that's expanding, that's being created faster than the light. So the light is constantly trying to reach us, but there are places where it's expanding too fast, faster speed of light. Now, a universe is defined. Everyone used to say everything, right? That's every single thing is the universe. That's not the case anymore. When you have a place that's expanding faster than the speed of light so that the light can never reach us, it can never affect us. So the real definition of a universe is cause and effect. The only place where cause and effect happens. Although there are planets millions of light years away that can't affect us, they do. Because a planet could run into another star and break off, that can run into another thing, that could hit another thing, that can hit another thing, that reaches us, and an asteroid is tilted to the point where now it's headed towards Earth. That is in our universe, because anything that can cause and effect, that can crash in and affect our lives, any place where there's cause and effect, that is a universe. The point where something out here can no longer affect us would be a place where its light can't even reach us.
Like a black hole.
That is considered another universe altogether. And because it's considered another universe altogether, the laws of that universe also change.
Well, is that what you'd say? Like, because when I've thought about black holes, I've always imagined it's like, if you were somehow able to just like stand over one and look into it, you would see like a whole. You could potentially see a whole universe inside of it.
Oh yeah.
Just like they would see our whole universe in it, but it's like you said, you can't do that because since everything gets swallowed in it, even light, it's like you really can't see what's on the other side.
I always thought people talk about wormholes, right? And how we've never seen a wormhole, so we don't know if they exist. I think a black hole is a wormhole.
I don't see the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, someone could, maybe Chris could. I don't know. Someone gotta be able to explain. I'm sure there's a YouTube video difference between a wormhole and a black hole.
I'm sure, but maybe the reason why we haven't seen a wormhole like science hasn't proven that they really exist, it's just a theory, is because they are actually black holes, and if you go through a black hole, you'll end up in God knows where, in bumfuck nowhere in the universe.
If you survive somehow.
If you survive. And we don't know because we've never been in one. We don't know.
And whoever goes in one ain't going to be able to tell us. It's like death. It's like, what happens now?
It's
like,
it's a
one-way trip. There's no...
It's a one-way ticket.
Yeah, it's always exactly. Now, that's why if we could create something that won't lose transmission when we send it into a black hole, that can send signals back and can record something, and that'll never happen because everything gets... Apparently things... If you get pulled into a black hole, you rip in half, and then those two halves you rip in half, and those two halves you rip in half.
Spaghettification.
That's very interesting. It's all theory because nobody knows for sure.
They just claim that, and I'm sure there's some scientific...
I think it's the generally accepted thing.
It is, but I don't know why.
Neil
calculation.
Neil deGrasse. Neil's the advocate for...
It probably was
stuff.
a Neil, to be honest.
Speaking of Neil, our final point.
Oh, hold on. We got some questions we got to answer. Dude, I want to do the first one.
Go for it.
So Omar wrote it again. He says, do aliens watch our TV shows? Do they have a favorite show to binge? A bit of Rick and Morty, perhaps? I don't think they would need to watch our shows because I like to think aliens would probably have telepathy, so it's like they would just know the thoughts. Like, that's what I would think.
Do they have a favorite show to binge? Yeah, X-Files. Obviously, come on, Omi. Come on, blood. What are you saying, blood?
Yeah.
A bit of Rick and Morty. I mean, Rick and Morty is a decent show, and I'm sure the aliens would get a kick out of it, just like we all do.
I just want to know, to them, what would entertainment be? Because shows are based in our understanding of reality, and jokes are made based on what happens to us, the ability to be relatable. Relatable is only funny because we feel that way as a certain species. So to them, comedy it's not going to be interesting. They're just going to see things happening. Things aren't going to make sense to them. Maybe they'll make more sense. Maybe they understand everything about us, and it is funny. They can put themselves in our perspective and see why a joke is funny. Given the fact that they can't do that, they're just going to see images. Shows wouldn't be enjoyable.
The next question by Omar is, what do you guys think of the evidence pointing to a Nazi UFO base under the ice of Antarctica? There's been a lot of stuff about this that I've seen on National Geographic, History Channel, Ancient Aliens, and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
first I've heard of it.
Hitler, Hitler or the Third Reich or his people, he apparently did send people to the South Pole.
And he also wanted to find Atlantis and like stuff like that.
Yeah, he was a bit. I mean, he was out there, as we know. He wasn't well, and he committed atrocities. However, he was a believer in the supernatural, and if you want to classify UFOs under that, I will answer first because I know a little bit about it. Nazis going to the South Pole looking for UFOs. Did they find the UFO base? Did they make one themselves? Did they make contact? I mean, I've heard some people claim that in the South Pole there's a way into the inner Earth. Some people call it Hollow Earth. I'm not going to talk about it because I just saw Anthony have an aneurysm.
My eyes just went slightly back in my head, and I just lost the amount of health as if I smoked a pack of cigarettes.
I think that the Nazis probably did go to the Antarctic, and I don't think they found anything, because if they did, they probably would have used it. Or maybe they did try to use it, and they just got vaporized. Pappy, what do you reckon?
Well, there's one interesting thing I know about Antarctica. I had a high school teacher who lived there for a year as a meteorologist, and every couple of years they have to make a new place to live, like a new base, because the snow there, it like just keeps rising and it'll like just keep rising and like more ice and snow.
I didn't know that.
And I always thought that was kind of interesting, so that's something to consider as far as like the base and all that. I haven't seen evidence for it, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like they at least went there to try to see if there was stuff there. But like, yeah, I haven't heard much about that.
The claim is that Hitler and his Nazis were very interested in aliens, so they went to Antarctica to hopefully find them, and they may have, and if they did, they're under the ground in a hollow earth right now. Is that?
Or they could be covered in that snow that just keeps happening every couple of years.
I mean, that's the thing. There's so much ice and snow in Antarctica, and I think only a small percentage of the actual continent has been explored and discovered. So.
Well, it's a good thing that we got global warming. It'll melt it all.
To be honest with you, as much as I love that question, I don't have enough information on it to comment. I'm just gonna say from what I hear, I'm much more interested to see what's in our oceans.
Yeah.
Yeah. USOs, for those of you that don't know, what's a USO, Pappy? Explain to the viewers.
Unidentified submerged object. And
submerged object.
There's lots of different things you can find about it, but we did one episode previous where we talked about one that's off the coast of Malibu. It's just like a interesting
that was a good one.
Formation. So what I was talking about with the Antarctic snow is called permafrost.
Permafrost. Thank you, Chris, our Area 52 expert, chiming in to save the day once again. Shall we get on to our final point?
Yes.
Compact fusion reactor. Did I get that correct?
Yes, and that is in the description, ladies and gentlemen. And
I'm actually gonna pull this one up too, because there's a very interesting article. Jeremy, do you know anything about these compact fusion reactors?
No,
I know a little bit about it. So basically, a fission reaction, Well,
what was the headline of that article? That was interesting in itself.
Scientist behind the Navy's UFO patents has now filed one for a compact fusion reactor. And we're also going to show the evidence of this as well, because it's straight up on Google Patents with everything that's...
This is all real? This is a bona fide, legitimate patent that's been filed?
A patent.
Patent?
For all you English people. So basically... I
saw something about craft. Did you see that?
Well, yes, but that's not what the craft you're thinking of. It's I want to just talk about the energy like that it could have.
Well, Chris, our Area 52 expert,
he said for intergalactic travel too.
He said that one could use this technology for intergalactic space travel.
It's true, because so here's
That's so cool.
In a typical, we got this pulled up on the video, but in a typical fusion reaction of a nuclear power plant, they produce about 4,000 megawatts at.
That's a nuclear power plant.
It's a nuclear power plant.
Like Chernobyl. Exactly,
but like a real one that works. Mm-hmm. So the compact fusion reactor, which would be
the Russians.
Yes, a compact fusion reactor which would be maximum 2 meters big. It could have produced the power of 1 trillion watts using only 1,000 to 1 million watts of energy. So as less than the amount of energy that this nuclear power plant produces, it could produce many times that, because
a trillion times more.
Yeah. But and because of that, you could have something
like what Chris was talking about.
Yeah. The UFO-like technology that appears to be distorting gravity.
Yeah, vehicle design that basically reads as UFO-like technology. Wow, I mean.
And so this is just a theory?
No. They have been working on this, because in this article, they also talk about how the Chinese have been doing it, the Russians have been doing it. So it's kind of like a modern space race, because it literally would solve the energy crisis, because you could power like almost a whole nation with one of these. Like you could power like probably the United States maybe like 5 of these. The article's on there. I just want to cut to the end where they talk about.
That's incredible.
Okay, so I'm going to read direct from the article. With all this in mind, is the Navy building some sort of incredible craft? based on science that remains foreign to the larger scientific community.
That's Neil deGrasse, by the way.
Okay.
I hope he's watching and reading this article as we speak.
It's true. And then they talk about Russia and China and how we could be using it, to defeat them in advanced aerospace development. And they also talk about. Sorry, just one more thing.
I gotta pause you. I got.
Oh, good.
I got 4% on the thing, the computer.
Uh-oh. Do you have
I'll be right back. Sorry. Yeah, keep talking and then fill me in.
Okay. They
right back. Sorry.
also talk about, do they already know about this and they're just revealing it now? Or are they trying to show an example of, what the pilot saw? They were trying to show, oh, no, that could have been because of a compact fusion reactor type of engine. And the Navy is the only one that has come forward even talking about this technology. And there's no definite answer. We just know that this scientist, what's his name? His name was on here, right?
On the article?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because, well, you know where it's going to be. It's going to be on the patent.
Okay, I'm back.
We should pull up the patent.
So.
Just pull up the patent.
Yes, Jeremy. I'm just gonna.
Welcome back.
I'm just about to show the viewers the patent, whatever, ladies and gentlemen, want to call it.
That's the real.
This is literally on patents.google.com, so you can find this for
Plasma
yourself.
compression fusion device.
This is a legit patent on something they're currently working on.
Salvatore
Pies.
That'll power the world.
Do you want to read that, Sal? Or some of it?
What would you like me to read? So the plasma compression fusion device, which includes a hollow duct, at least one pair of opposing counter-spinning dynamic fuses. I mean, I'm not a tech guy, but basically it's thermonuclear fusion reactors with magnetic or electric plasma confinement. This patent was filed by Salvatore Pies, and it is application filed by the U.S. Secretary of Navy. This was all done in 2018, and the update for 2019, which was on the 26th of September, was the publication of said patent, which is, and as of today, application status is pending. And like I was telling you earlier, our resident expert Chris, ex-Area 52 employee, said this tech, because we actually did send it to him just to get his opinion and verdict on it, and he said, in theory, like everything else, it could be used for intergalactic space travel, and by the sounds of it, and what Anthony was saying about the amount of power this thing generates, which is, 1 trillion watts, and a nuclear power plant is 4,000 watts. I mean, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely... That's probably the most mind-blowing thing I've heard.
Yeah.
Actually, out of everything tonight.
It's black and white.
And yeah, it's right there. It's written.
How come this isn't making the mainstream news?
No, where is this stuff? Is it? I don't know, dude. Well, they only give a crap about politics and crap.
Well, we've realized by this point that the mainstream news is used as a form of distraction, and like 100%. I heard, I forget where I heard it, but like statistically, the majority of the people who listen to like mainstream news, like network television, are over the age of 35. Everyone usually 35 and under gets their stuff online on YouTube, on independent things, because at least those things, if they're biased, they're biased, or you can investigate them yourselves. And the one thing I really like about this type of forum is like there's no one they're answerable to. It's just the open forum, and
it's
like
an open discussion.
That's amazing.
We welcome the evidence, like to or against, but just we want to see more and more evidence.
I there's always two sides to the story, and if someone can point me in the right direction to prove or disprove anything, I'm always all ears, and our viewers can click on all the links. Like you can see the patent link in the video description. You can read it all yourself. It's like, how many pages is it? It's
like 6 or so at least.
Yeah.
And it's like I couldn't read it. It was so technical.
It's very technical.
But that is why I feel like I would trust it even more, because it's like I sent it to my chemical engineer person I told you about, and they said, I understand the basic concept of how this works. I just never had to like deal with something like this. But that's coming from a straight up chemical engineer who runs a chemical
from
plant.
An engineer, yeah. So I mean, and then we got a Area 52 guy saying it could be used for intergalactic. And I did not put these words in his mouth. All I said is, "What do you think of this?" And he said, "Could be used for intergalactic space travel."
Jesus, I'm gonna look into this a lot more. Yeah. I feel like we should do one based on just that.
Yeah, well, is that like? Anthony did bring that up. I think that we might do that.
There's so much.
There's so much.
It's just so much to unpack. Once we really get a good like, I'm gonna get my mind wrapped around it and see whatever I can find out on YouTube and just like read that patent and like.
Yeah.
Because this is like, what happens when they do it? Do they just say, "Hey, we got an announcement"?
Well, they don't, they don't
we just changed a life.
They don't need to even release it. They're just doing it so that no one else has the right to claim ownership of it in the U.S.
Yeah.
So the U.S. patented this, or the U.S. did not patent?
U.S. Navy filed it last year, and it just became public end of September. And it's.
Wouldn't the patent have been there since they filed it on Google though? Because what they had.
Dude, who is in charge of this stuff? Because it seems like the presidents have nothing to do with any of this.
That's a whole different show, man. Like all these presidential candidates who are saying, if I get elected, I'm.
Well, I mean, even since like Carter, he was like, I'm gonna.
I think he was the first one, right? Like
yeah.
Clearly, they don't run this shit.
Hell no.
They run our government.
Well, but they didn't run that.
This is something else. Like, oh well, yeah. I mean, but.
Well, guys, we have come to the end.
I think we've.
That was an epic show. That was feature length.
It was almost Joe Rogan worthy.
Almost.
Oh, for sure.
We're catching up to you, Joe. So watch out.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, Jeremy. That was thrilling.
A pleasure.